My name is Aradhna Oliphant, and I'm privileged to serve as the President and CEO of Leadership Pittsburgh, and there are several graduates of our programs, or current participants. We have a couple of long-time established programs for community leadership, so our programs are not classic leadership development like a university might offer. Our programs are around how do we get established and emerging leaders to do even more for the community. That's the framework. So our tagline is we open eyes, minds, and doors. And so when this the big table idea emerged, it just sort of like fit really nicely into our mission. Along with me is our wonderful, very new to Leadership Pittsburgh, Chrissy D. Shetler. Chrissy is a graduate of our Emerging Leaders program. And without her, we probably would not have been able to take on this new initiative. Before she was hired, we didn't even have this initiative conceptualized. And thank goodness Chrissy came on the team. Chicago Community Trust, which is like Chicago's community foundation, like a Pittsburgh foundation, they started this concept they called it On the Table. And you can read what's written there. And then several communities followed that model since 2014. We are most closely following a model that the Columbus Foundation utilized. And frankly, they have been so wonderful to us. Even this logo is theirs. Because my board authorized this around Christmas time. And here we are. So we would not have been able to do this at this rate without the Columbus Foundation. I mean, just completely, I've never had a partner as good as the Columbus Foundation. And I've worked a long time in this field. This logo is theirs. The only difference is, and they had it copyright, so that is their copyright, not Leadership Pittsburgh's copyright. I don't do sports much. I love what the Steelers and the Penguins and the Pirates mean for the region, but even I knew that their logo had blue and red. Even I knew that those were not Pittsburgh colors. So I begged Doug, their president, I said, Doug, we really appreciate this, but could I please change it to black and gold? And they really wanted to partner with us, and they knew the intent behind all of why the board was wanting to do this at this time in our community. And they revised, for those of you who are lawyers here, they revised their copyright agreement to enable Pittsburgh to use the black and gold. But the board was very, very clear that this should be about the entire community, not just for our alums. Generally speaking, when Leadership Pittsburgh engages in something, we have, for those of you who are alums of our programs or are in the program or have known anyone in our programs, we are almost like military precision. We start on time, we end on time, but not just in the logistics. Everything is thought through. There are very few things that we go, yeah, they will do what they want to do and be okay. So this was a contrast to that. We are a pretty type A type of an organization, so to trust people to know what they want to talk about and be open-ended, came a little bit hard to me as well, and to some members of our board. But the reason that we adopted this, or bringing this to Pittsburgh, is because oftentimes we have, in our community, in our country, we have good things, but then when bad things happen, Antoine Rose, Tree of Life, it's at that time that we say, how did this happen here? And then soon it is, we should love each other. And then, but we never talk to each other. So this is a way to trust the people to come together in ways that can build community. Very open-ended. Okay, so what we're going to do, because hopefully at the end of this, you will say, yeah, we like this and we want to serve as hosts, and we'll do some questions. I think it's also important to figure out how this might work, because then that might inspire more focused questions. Make sense? Okay. One of you at each table, please self-identify as the demo host. Okay? This is a demonstration of how a table is supposed to go or could go, just a starting point. So pick a host, self-identify, just can you please? Great. You're going to host here, you're going to host here, you're going to host here. Who's going to host here? You're going to host here. You picked a host? Did you pick a host?
Yes.
Did you pick a host? Great. Wonderful. So now, can everyone read this pretty much? Okay. So share your name, background, why you decided to be a host. The host should follow those directions. Add a quick fun fact like your favorite flavor of ice cream. Invite your guests to introduce themselves and ask them to share a favorite fun fact about themselves. Put their cell phones away and ask the first question: how can we work together to build a strong, connected community? That will be the prompt, the first prompt for all of your conversation when you do them on April 17th. So there's no pressure. Yeah? Let's do it. Let's do it. We'll bring you back in about 10-15 minutes. Thank you. Right around like 20 minutes or so is when you start getting deeper, but this is just a demo. And so we hope that most of you are here as hosts or potential hosts, and so you'll get a little flavor of this. Let me do a quick slide on some of the basics, which you probably have read on the website or on the little card, but just vocalizing it sometimes helps. If you are going to be a host, we are saying a minimum of 8 people, including yourself, and a maximum of 12. If you have 24 people in your family that you want to invite, or your neighborhood, or your church, or your synagogue, or your mosque, we say have 2 tables. Make sure that each has a separate host. Suitable location, food, anything. Literally, you can share a big bag of chips. I would rather that you share something more healthy, but it can be as simple as that. Columbus and here in Pittsburgh, we are using the term host very deliberately. We are not saying table facilitator or table leader. A host is just that. Think of this as whether you're going to do it in your office or anywhere else, that you're the host. And generally, when we are hosting, we are not. I'm not modeling the way right now. That you don't over talk. You want your guests to talk. You want your guests to enjoy and engage. But that doesn't mean that it's not your responsibility to make sure that everyone is having a good time and is engaging. So that is pretty much. You don't need any training in facilitation and things like that. But just be mindful that you're not over dominating the conversation, and neither are you allowing anyone else to dominate the conversation. We are all in those groups sometimes, even at a dinner party, where one person thinks that, especially after a couple of drinks, they think that they are the most interesting people. So that's what we're saying. Oh yes, and a big thing that we've learned from Columbus, that they learned from Chicago and others, is that please fill out the survey, because that's going to help us share with people in the community what are the major themes that emerged, what is on our population's mind. That's all. No one is ascribing responsibility to you or to the mayor or the county exec or the conference or the United Way or anything like that. It's just that it's a good touch point. Yes, and so we can go in and can we go into questions? Okay, great, thank you. Do not be sorry.
Can you go back to the bullet point?
Yeah, the brief survey, is that going to be taken by everyone or only by the host?
We do want each host to take it and encourage all their guests to take it too. But it's the hosts we are most concerned about. Do we encourage hosts to take notes or be in the conversation? My proclivity is to say be in the conversation, but be mindful of the themes. As a host, when you're at your home and you're throwing a lunch or a dinner or something like that, you're fully present in the moment. That doesn't mean that you don't go out and sneak to the oven to stick the casserole in the I've done this casserole in the oven or something like that. That doesn't mean that. But being fully present is important. Yes, please.
Can you go a little bit over the logistics of being a public host site?
Oh, good. Okay. So yes. So may I just ask by a show of hands if how many of you are considering hosting versus attending? Hosting, please. Excellent, excellent. All right. So what Saima asked was about a public site. So let's say, we have come up with public, individual, and super hosts. So there are, we are making this.
Super host was what my question.
Yeah, so we are making this up. Public hosts, Columbus had also done. So one is like individually, if Aradhana is hosting something at her house or in our office, I'm an individual host. There are going to be people who are not wanting to host, but do want to participate. And for that, there are some wonderful partners who lined up to be public hosts. How do you sign up for the public hosts? If you for the public locations, on our website at Leadership Pittsburgh's website, there will be a listing of which are the public host sites, how many tables do we have, and you will if they're all filled, and then there is a category called super hosts. So Google actually just 2 nights ago said that they want to be a super host, which is that they will have more than 5 tables, but they are inviting people around their tables. Could be Googlers, could be non-Googlers, could be family, could be anyone, but that's a super host. Highmark, one of our sponsors for the big table, is going to be a super host, but way beyond 5 tables. I mean, they're looking at it enterprise-wide. All the hospitals, all the University of Pittsburgh is looking at being a super host. All the departments are thinking about it. Pittsburgh Public Schools. There are 3 separate sets of sort of like entities within the Pittsburgh Public Schools which are thinking of being super hosts, students, the superintendent and his staff, and maybe even the PTAs or some mix of that. Winchester Thurston is taking the lead on being a super host for all the independent and private schools. What am I missing? The county executive is hosting a table, the mayor's office is hosting a table, and so on and so forth. So we do say in our suggested guidelines that instead of talking to each other, that echo chamber thing, we are saying if you're going to host a table of about 8 or even 10, try and get at least 2 people that either you don't know as well or you think that the others don't know. So for example, if Nicole and her friend were doing this, they could get 6 from the company, from Accenture, and then it could be your grandmother. I mean, don't forget family. Don't think that someone has to be currently in a full-time job at a certain level to. Everyone's voice matters. So please do not ignore that. And I love the soup kitchen idea. There is other questions.
I do. Is there a time for, I noticed that there's no time established, so is it just kind of based on if you're meeting for coffee or lunch or dinner, there's no expectation around the time, so you can kind of flow from, is there a minimum? Do you expect, you said, I heard you say it takes about 20 minutes for the conversation to get deep, so I'm assuming that we want to at least spend an hour together?
Based on what we are learning from other communities, we are saying allocate 90 minutes.
90?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Deborah is asking what is, when your guests ask, what next? That's your question. Deborah, let me ask you a clarifying question on top of that. Are you talking about right there and then, or are you talking about sending something to your guests later?
I'm talking about right then and
Okay.
right then and there.
Okay. So what we are going to do is take up, once the surveys are done, we are going to boil it up and identify the themes that have occurred. And we might have data that will say this zip code, that zip code did this. These are the things that matter. We are working with the Pittsburgh Business Times and the Pittsburgh Magazine to maybe share it with the wider community. It'll definitely be available on our website. So those are the kinds of things. The conversation itself is the purpose. But it would be a shame to waste what people are talking about, and that's why we are doing it. But the conversation, this is about community building. The conversation is the purpose. The question was about media. You are the host. It's up to you. What we do want you all please to do is make sure that you're asking everyone around your table or tables for their permission. If you're taking pictures and doing it social media later, or a media person is going to do it later, it's your house or your office, it's your conversation. It really is difficult. The whole concept, which is what was beautiful once I got like, okay, we can't be in control of everything, it's okay, was to trust the people. That they know what they want to talk about. It's okay. It's okay to let go. We live in such a tightly controlled. I know my alums are saying, she is saying that it's okay. Yes, it is okay. Other questions, if you're thinking about it, others are thinking about it, please ask. Thank you, Diane. There are questions on page 5. What would you like to learn from others in this conversation? What commitment can we make, big or small, to better our community? We would love, and I think it's a part of the survey question, forget about the group's commitment. Because in the end, it's the individual, right? I mean, otherwise the hosts will be held responsible. We would love it if everyone around every table said, one thing I'll do, just one thing, in the next 1 month. The group might say, this is too little, we want to do something big as a group or as a part of a group. It's our community, it's your community. Other questions?
Over there.
Absolutely. Jane is saying that, you know, some of you may want to address that up front, to say, what am I here to learn? Including those in the so-called leadership positions. Right, what am I here to learn? So, host kits. If there are no other questions, I can jump onto the host kits. Okay, so what is the host kit? The host kit will be a bag. And again, we are following Columbus's model. They had a paper bag, we're going to have a real bag. And then in the bag are going to be some cute stuff. What is the cute stuff that we're going to have?
A notebook of some kind, hopefully an umbrella for the host, and then the copies of the surveys, a little table tent that's set in the center of your table, a sign-in sheet for your guests to kind of sign in when they're there.
Stickers? We're not doing stickers?
That's still up in the air.
Okay. Okay, you know how when we vote, we say, you know, I voted. This.
Like that.
People like that?
Oh, yes.
They do.
Oh, yes, we should have that. We should have that. We are going to have that. Okay.
When is it available?
Yeah, when is it available?
So We have pickup times scheduled at our offices.
Oh, great.
And then also, this info session will happen again that Saturday before, the 13th. And location and time on that are still to be determined, but that will not be another pickup option. So as long as you're able to get your host kit and get your stuff together, you can keep signing up, which is really up until the day before.
Can you pick up your host kits outside of these dates?
Like I could come and get all 20.
Absolutely. In fact, please do.
Okay. Sounds good.
Please do. Please do. Yeah. Should you create your own invitation and RSVP date? Absolutely. We can send
The
you.
packet has like just sample text, like a sample email.
Okay.
And you could be able to say that you're participating in this region-wide event.
Superhost, the question was, do the superhost invite their own guests? Yes. So let's say Highmark is going to be a superhost. They are going to decide who they're going to invite. That's the only real distinction. Question was, if it is Seton Hill, do they need any special permission? No, just register. Tell us what you're doing.
Okay, cool.
We'd love it if you get your administration, your faculty, your facility staff, and your students engaged. And maybe someone, I think when either it was the United Way or Highmark, they were saying that maybe they'll flip, that instead of, let's say, a nonprofit executive director playing the host at a table, that they might have maintenance staff or a client of the agency be the host.
If she had all 20 show up, could she deputize another host?
Absolutely. If all 20 show up, please break up the table. Don't go beyond 12. There is that strong request. Question was, instead of just one, if I have a business that has, let's say, 50 independent constituents, how might you do it? As long as there is a table host who knows her or his role as a host. You can invite all 50. Good? Okay, next steps. Please, 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 just because you showed up here doesn't mean that you're registered as a table host. Please register if you haven't. Registration is online. It is free. Reminding that again, if you spread the word. You have the host toolkit, which is, please keep it. If you're not going to use it, leave it here. It is downloadable. In terms of timeline, don't wait till the end. By March 20th is our suggested timeline. But like if this was my son who was, they all decide like last minute. So if that's the kind of group that you want to invite, you may want to wait till the last minute. There's going to be some media coverage. I think there is a question, or Chrissy is going to put a question on the registration. If you are open to having media just come by and take a couple of shots or something like that, please let us know so that then we can say to the media, this particular host at this particular location. So if there are groups that you know or potential hosts that you know who may not have the facility to provide a snack or breakfast or something like that, please let us know. I said facility, not convenience. There's a difference. But, we don't want this to be a barrier. But there should be some food. Whatever the food is, there should be some food. Please let us know. I mean, you'll not get I don't know what we're going to do. Maybe let us know. We'll do something.
Translation services.
Translation services. Chrissy, can you please talk to that?
Yes, I'm working with some fellows at Pitt, and they have made a connection with the University of Pittsburgh with the language department that I can reach out if we need a translator at a table, and they'll help us find a translator to be at a table.
That's cool.
If you all are familiar with the Allegheny Conference, it's the big economic development kahuna in town. They are doing a summit at the end of June. I think all the hosts or some number of our hosts will be invited there because it's like a funnel. So we are doing this and then they are doing that, and so. Got 1 more minute. Was this fun?
Yes.
Did you meet some new people? That's great. That's great. That's great. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you.